Hello and welcome to a special edition of Fourth and Inches. I'm Jordan D'Souza here alongside Christian Egger-Bide and Nathaniel Smith. Today we're going to take a step down to the collegiate level and talk about ASU football, looking back at their game against USC and looking ahead in the season that lies ahead. But first off, how are we doing today?
Doing well, Jordan. Just had a pretty laid-back weekend with the boys. A lot of great college football being played this weekend, as well as NFL football. A lot of exciting finishes to some games. So it was awesome. Just kicked back and had a good time.
I'd have to second that motion. I also had a splendid weekend. Actually went back home to California for a few days. I was able to catch my brother play some high school football. It was a good time. See the family, see the pooch, see some friends back home, some old high school coaches. It was a good time all around. What about you, Jordan?
It was a good weekend for me as well. We had a special visitor this weekend. Mrs. D'Souza, not my wife, my mom, came to visit me this weekend because it was Rosh Hashanah. So she came for the holiday. She cooked us a traditional Rosh Hashanah dinner. We had chicken, brisket, we had challah. So Lashana Tova to both of you gentlemen. I hope you guys had fun. I know I did.
I wish I knew what that meant.
It means Happy New Year in Hebrew. Try it. Lashana Tova.
Washanat Tova.
All right, you're close. Okay. Maybe next time with practice. All right, in all serious now, I know Nate was away for this, but Christian and I and some other buddies, we were anticipating this ASU USC game. We were all excited. We were huddled around the TV watching, and what kind of unfolded in front of your eyes, Christian?
Well, going into this game, I was pretty excited. I'm from Southern California, so a little conflicted also coming into this game. Grew up a USC fan. So USC coming into this game was 1-3. Really hadn't impressed anyone so far this season. And, of course, ASU was 4-0 on a little bit of a hot streak to start the season. So I thought we would have a really good chance, ASU, at pulling out a big win over the powerhouse that is USC. But, came out pretty flat, started the game just pretty much getting dominated by SC and that explosive offense with Juju Smith and Dory Jackson, some other guys like that. So it was a little disappointing because I really thought we could hang with them. But, it's just SC is kind of an elite opponent. So anytime you go up against them, you got to play your best football.
Yeah, even despite their 1-3 record, you look at the teams that they've lost to. They played Bama week 1, obviously best team in college football. Yeah. Lost to Washington and Utah, other really good ranked teams. So their 1-3 record might not really show how good of a team they truly are. But Nate, were you surprised by the outcome of this game?
Honestly, not really. ASU, yes, was 4-0 on paper. But, you take a look at who they've played. Northern Arizona, Texas Tech, UTSA, and Cal. The only quality opponent on this list, in my opinion, is Cal. Some would argue also Texas Tech, but really, if you have somewhat competent offense, you're going to beat Texas Tech because they never play any defense. All they do is score points. But, I think the biggest theme here is just defensive struggles. Not just in this game, but really, even in every win so far. I'm looking at the box scores here. Against Northern Arizona, ASU only gave up 13 points. But, Northern Arizona is not in the same conference or should even be in the same breadth as all of these top teams. Against Texas Tech, we gave up 55, UTSA 28, Cal 41, and then again 41 this past Saturday. The defense is a big issue, and they got to figure it out soon if they want to start winning some games.
Yeah, it was definitely a game where we were at our worst and USC was at their best, and I don't really think we have the type of talent to be able to to be able to win without playing our best football. We're just kind of that type of team, and I think we showed it tonight. So that definitely just didn't surprise me that we didn't end up winning that game. But another storyline coming out of this game is that Manny Wilkins went down with an injury. Christian, how do you think this is going to affect the team moving forward?
Well, anytime you lose your starting quarterback, it's tough because obviously he's been getting first string reps with all the offense and whatnot. So now Brady White, I assume, do we know if Wilkins is actually going to play in the next game or is he out?
I don't think we know.
I think Brady White's expected to start next game, but I think Manny's only supposed to miss a week or two.
Yeah, so Brady White's a young guy. He actually grew up not very far from where I grew up in Southern California. Went to Hart High School, so I know from watching him play, he's a very competent quarterback, so I think he'll get in there and do his thing. But going to get up against this UCLA team next week, their defense is pretty good. Held Arizona to only like 20 points or so, and Arizona just played Washington the week before and played pretty well against them. So it's going to be tough, obviously, just jumping in there to his first college game, but I think he should hold his own. But yeah, always tough when your starting quarterback goes out, just to get that consistency and get on target with your receivers.
So kind of back to Wilkins. I mean, he was playing really well this year. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I mean, he's not the type of guy that's going to like dazzle you with his arm. He's just a really athletic quarterback. He's a college quarterback, He's not going to do anything in the pros, but he's just the type of guy who's been like playing well, and that's like why they've been winning. So how do you think the offense is going to change next week looking ahead with Brady White?
I think it'll be a lot better. Brady White's a more traditional quarterback, and some ASU students might disagree with me here, but I don't think Manny Wilkins is good. I think actually they made the wrong choice to start the season at quarterback. Wilkins has not been impressive this year. He has 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on the year and a 65% completion percentage. Those numbers do not jump out at you in any way, shape, or form. He is not a traditional quarterback in any sense of the word. He's the typical college quarterback where he's athletic and people get excited because he has a few highlight reels because he's hurdled some kids. If you look at the numbers and you look at, how we've played against quality teams, USC, in my mind, being the first quality team we played, I understand he got hurt, but while he was in the game, our offense was stagnant. We couldn't run the ball. We couldn't throw the ball. He basically played the entire first half. He was 13 of 24 for 148 yards and an interception before he got hurt. Brady White comes in the second half with 6 of 13, 80 yards, 1 touchdown, no turnovers. I mean, the fact that a freshman is redshirt freshman, I think he's redshirt freshman, Brady White, can come in the game and not turn the ball over in a full half of football, I don't know. That just says a lot to me. And Wilkins, it just doesn't seem like he's very accurate. I don't think the arm strength is there. I think they made the wrong choice at quarterback to begin with.
Yeah, I think people didn't really know what to expect from Wilkins other than his athleticism. And I think he has been a serviceable quarterback up to this point. I mean, we were 4-0, which is something to be said. But other than that, it'll be interesting to see how Brady White kind of changes the offense. But looking forward to this coming Saturday, we stack up against UCLA. Nate, what do you think are some of the key matchups in this game? Or overall, how do you think we stack up against the Bruins?
Well, it doesn't seem like scoring points so far this year has been an issue for us. So I look, obviously, besides last week, against USC, we only had 20 points. But I mean, with the quarterback injury mid-game, that's bound to disrupt the flow of things. I look for the ASU offense to get back into its rhythm. I look for Brady White to actually do some damage here against this UCLA defense, who has been pretty good so far. So you're looking at their schedule, they've given up 31 points their first game, 21 against UNLV. Actually, looking at the schedule, the UCLA defense seems to be pretty stingy up to this point. So young Brady White thrown in the game with no experience, he might have some trouble. Look for him to lean on the rushing attack of Kalen Ballage and Demario Richard. Ballage has 9 touchdowns on the year. And our freshman phenom receiver, N'Keal Harry, he has 215 yards and 2 TDs on the year. So look for him to attack vertically through the air and hopefully put up more than 20 points.
Christian, do you have any predictions on how the game's going to turn out?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think UCLA looks pretty good this year. They played really well against U of A and put up 45 points. So that offense is business. Josh Rosen, the chosen Rosen. And
Lashana Tova to him, I assume.
Most definitely. But yeah, UCLA looks really good. They beat up on University of Arizona pretty good. So I think coming into this game, Brady White's just going to have to manage the game, maybe try to have some long drives that take up a lot of the clock and try to put some points on the board. I do agree with Nate. I think he'll try to lean on the running attack a lot. But yeah, the UCLA defense looks good, so it should be a pretty tough first game for Brady White.
So are we thinking ASU win or?
I'd love to be optimistic and say so, but I do not think we will win this game. I think UCLA is going to handle it pretty well. I'd say maybe like a 35-14 win for UCLA is my prediction.
All right, so let's say we do lose that game. We fall to 4-2. Looking ahead past this week, the schedule definitely gets a little bit tougher. We have Colorado, Washington State, Oregon, Utah, Washington, Arizona, and then that's pretty much the end of the year for us. How do you think the back end of our schedule kind of stacks up with where you think we could play this year?
I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but we could lose every single one of these games. Like, we could honestly miss a bowl bid.
So you're saying there's a chance?
None of these teams coming up are jokes. They are all quality teams.
Even Colorado.
All of a sudden, Colorado's good this year. They blew out Oregon at Oregon a couple weeks ago. Washington, one of the best teams in the entire nation right now. The U of A played UCLA very tough last weekend. Utah is always good. Oregon actually might be the worst team on this list, surprisingly. But, I mean, even they can put up tons of points, and we've shown that we can't stop anyone. So, honestly, looking at this schedule, let's see how many home games. 1, 2. We only have 2 home games left after this UCLA game. Playing on the road is tough, especially in college against big opponents like these Pac-12 monsters they got coming up. Unless the defense can somehow shore itself up and, get better in pass coverage and not be so vulnerable there, I don't see us winning any of those games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Nate. All of these games are tough. You got to play Washington State at home. That's good that you get to play them at home, but then go to Eugene, back at home versus Utah, who's a very good team. Even playing them at home is super tough. Then you got to go to Washington, go to Tucson to play the U of A. So, yeah, all these games are tough. I truly cannot see us winning any more than 2 of these. Maybe we pull it out against Washington State, and Oregon does not look as good as they have in previous years. But Colorado is very tough. They were in the top 25 a week ago. So, not looking too good for our hot start that had us at 4-0. We got kind of the tough end of the schedule here. So,
I mean, to give us credit, we've won the games we're supposed to win, and that's an important thing to do if you're a team that's kind of like in the middle of like a rebuild, which we are. I mean, we all expected it. None of us expected ASU to finish like ranked this year, but definitely the back end of our schedule is definitely going to get very tough, very fast. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how we fare, and maybe to kind of see if Brady White kind of keeps the starting job, see if Wilkins loses his job. There's just like a lot of things that are up in the air at this point of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's another interesting storyline, I feel, is if, in my mind, it's a very real possibility that Brady White comes in and does well, if not better than what Wilkins has already done this year. And if that's the case, and I'm Todd Graham, Todd Graham's a whole other issue. We'll get to that in a second. If I'm Todd Graham, I keep rolling with Brady White if he comes in against UCLA and not even gets a win. Like, I don't think a win can be expected in this situation. A win would be great, but realistically speaking, you're just looking for the offense to get back on track, score some decent amount of points. If Brady White can put up anywhere between the 28 to 35 range, I think you got to give him another chance, even if Wilkins is healthy. And we may end up having a interesting quarterback battle on our hands. What do you think, Cray? What are the expectations for the quarterback?
Well, yeah, Nate, I mean, Manny Wilkins does have seniority because he's a redshirt sophomore versus White, a redshirt freshman. So I think that will play into it because most college coaches tend to give it just to the older, more experienced guy. But I think if Brady White can come in and, like you said, put up some good points against UCLA, maybe 21 to 28 points, and just show that, he can handle the game. If he doesn't turn the ball over, that's a huge thing. And just to handle the offense because obviously, getting a grip on the offense and being able week in and week out to have a large array of plays that you can run through Brady White is going to be big if they want to continue with him. So I think basically he just needs to focus on not turning the ball over to that ball hawking UCLA defense, and he should have just as good of a chance as anyone versus Wilkins.
Yeah, and I think this actually might indirectly play as an advantage for the ASU offense because, there's no film on Brady White. Like, no one has seen him play. So the UCLA defense is kind of at a disadvantage for that situation. because Wilkins, I feel, is pretty predictable. If you can take away his short routes, take away his checkdowns, if you can put pressure on him, he's going to run. And when he starts running, he never looks to throw, which is an awful trait to have as a quarterback. He just puts his head down and always relies on his feet, which would never work at the next level. It's probably why he's an average college quarterback. But anyways, Brady White, he's more of a pocket passer. He's looking to actually get the ball downfield, and he's not going to be hurdling people. So, it's just a whole different quarterback that UCLA has to face with no experience facing before. And I think a big key for him is getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He's been in the system for a while. He was here all last year as a redshirt. So, he's got to know the playbook. He's got to know the system pretty well. Coaches probably know what to expect from him. So I think that plays with the advantage for the ASU offense.
Now, switching it over to the defensive side of the ball, Christian, we all know the ASU defense has not been their strong suit this year. What do you think they need to do to turn it around next week against UCLA in their big matchup against Josh Rosen?
Well, yeah, I think definitely the passing defense is what we need to focus on. Just looking at what USC did to us with Juju Smith, he's obviously a very good receiver, and UCLA has quite a few receivers that can lengthen the field like that and kind of burn us for deep yardage. So it's definitely a focus on the passing defense this week, just trying to contain those electric UCLA receivers. And Josh Rosen's going to, air the ball out, so we just have to know that going in and try to counter it as best we can.
Nate, anything to add on the ASU's defensive struggles this year?
I agree with Cray. Todd Graham is famous for loving to bring pressure, but when you don't have an elite secondary, that defensive strategy doesn't work. I think we need to take a more conservative approach and not send so much heat at the quarterback, especially someone like Josh Rosen, who is very talented. If we're sending 6 or 7 guys every play, he's going to pick us apart. Unless we're getting there, which is a different story, but that hasn't been the case so far this year.
Yeah, if we're not getting there, Rosen's one of the smarter quarterbacks in college football, so that's definitely going to play to his hand if we, just send the house and we're not getting to him consistently.
Yeah, I don't trust that our secondary will be able to contain the UCLA receivers in isolation one-on-one situations. I think we should take a more conservative zone approach for this game, or maybe like man-to-man with safety help over the top. And me personally, I would send only 4 or 5 guys a play and just trust that your D-line can create some pressure.
And with that, we'll see how ASU fares this week against the Bruins. For this special edition of 4th and Inches, I'm Jordan D'Souza.
I'm Christian Agarbita.
And I'm Nate Smith.
Thanks for stopping by.